Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Malicious Compliance. Our first post is by Icy Maintenance. Leave. No leave. Yes, leave. A bit of background: I work as the sole IT guy in a firm with about 75 people that is part of a larger nationwide mother firm. Our local firm has an ongoing agreement with another local firm that we play backup for each other in case either one needs help, backup, knowledge sharing, whatever. This has been the case since 2009. I work for this firm since 2002. Kind of an old hand if you want. We have this generous leave package that builds the longer we work here. A starter has 180 hours per year leave. Someone with 20 plus years has 240 hours. I have that. Now, because we have this much leave, I'm of a mind not to be all too strict with the when and the how. I am single and have no kids, so I'm happy to let others with kids take priority to handle school holidays. As such, the last 15-something years, I have always taken the bulk of my leave in September, October, and the rest in Fridays, counting back from New Year, if that makes sense. The only rules we have regarding when and how we take leave is no more than 6 weeks together. You can't transfer more than 7 days to the next year, and leave must be approved, which it almost always is. Enter my big boss as per usual. I put in my leave request for September to October somewhere in May. This gets approved. Around August, we get news from our hardware vendor that they will be installing our new server cluster in the end of September. Not cool, but what are you gonna do? I talk it over with Big Boss and agree to move my leave to February to March of the next year. I don't mind too much. He is happy, I am happy, and we go ahead and plan it all in. Enter my department head, since I am a one-man department, but core are gonna be core. I have a department head that oversees my department, along with a few others. Somewhere end of September, he walks into my office and tells me when I am planning to take the bulk of my leave. I tell him about the server cluster install, and that my leave is moves to February to March. Now one cannot be a department head or part of manglement and still be reasonable, right? So he tells me that since I won't be taking my leave in this year, it will be forfeited. I tell him I have an agreement with Big Boss, to which he states that he talked about it with Big Boss and that the arrangement won't work since he didn't approve it. I take my phone and call Big Boss. He states that, indeed, my leave will not be approved and can't be moved to next year. So I tell him okay. Enter MC. I was pissed. Not just angry, but genuinely ready to murder someone pissed. So I took a half day and went home and mulled things over. With age comes wisdom, and I know not to take decisions when I am that angry. Next day I go in and ask a leave statement from our HR department that has a counter of all our leave and, more important, overtime. I had around 700 hours overtime standing, accrued over the years, and 220 hours leave. So I put in 5 weeks leave, 1 week 1 overtime, 5 weeks leave, 1 week overtime, and so on till I landed in the first week of January. Then I put in the remaining overtime and landed in the end of February. Next to that, I sent in my resignation and 3 months notice, which I planned exactly on the last day of my leave. Not half an hour later, my big boss and department head are at my desk asking me what gives. I told them that since department head had told me I couldn't transfer the leave, I would be taking it this year, and since the agreement to move my leave was broken, I felt I didn't have another choice but to look for other work where agreements in fact were honored. I asked them what rule of the worker's manual regarding leave I had broken, and if any, could they point it out. After that talk, I went home and the waiting game began. Big Boss called me next morning on my work cell asking me to come in. Sorry, no. I'm on leave. Happy to make a pot of coffee if you want to drop by. So he drops by. Things get talked about. Seems his department head wasn't entirely upfront with him, although he wasn't innocent either, and he wants to make things right. My 6 months leave stayed in place, and he offered to match the offers I would get from other firms to keep me on board, within reason. Conclusion: all in all, now, I still work for the same firm with a 15% wage increase. I don't do overtime anymore. Neither does my laptop come home with, and my work phone stays at work too. I still do my job to the best of my abilities, But at the end of the day, if my hours are done, I go home. The building can be on fire. If my clock is out, I am out the door. Now my leave gets planned around my preference too. No more shifting around other people's leaves. Our next post is by Sir Shanzi. Popped my MC cherry. Had my first ever malicious compliance situation the past few days, and it feels so good. Some background. I've been with this company for a little over 11 years now. The past 4 years, I've been a full-time department lead, up until about a year and a half ago. The company decided to integrate my department nutrition into every other department, grocery, produce, dairy, meat, frozen, etc., which technically did away with nutrition since all other departments were now working nutrition in their respective areas. Since my department doesn't exist anymore, there's no need for the full-time lead clerk, me. However, I am grandfathered into that position. I am now a part-time clerk, still getting the extra lead clerk pay and 40+ hours a week. Now for the fun part. We got a new manager not too long ago, and she is a crossed I's and dotted T's type of manager. Everything by the book. A couple weeks ago, she found out that I'm only part-time. My scheduled hours went from 40 down to 20 to 24 a week. No biggie. I still stay over or come in on a day off to get my 40. This past week, one of my scheduled days was just a 4-hour shift in dairy, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. We had one other person scheduled that morning, 4 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Our delivery was running late AF that day, so manager lady pulled the other dairy person to help pick a few online orders since they were behind. Delivery finally arrives at around 10:40 a.m. No biggie. I stayed over for an hour to help my coworker get our truck stocked. 12:15 p.m. rolls around, and manager lady yet again pulls my coworker out of the department to collect shopping carts from the parking lot. So I leave. Today, also a 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. shift. This conversation happens around 10:30. Manager lady, what in the world happened yesterday? Me. That's a broad question. In terms of what, manager lady? Why did you leave with the eggs and milks almost completely empty? I explained. They were full when I left. Manager lady. No, they absolutely were not, so what happened? Me. I filled milk and eggs, manager lady responded. There's no possible way. I had to come back here at 3:30 and get milk on the shelves because they were empty. There's no way we sold that many gallons and half gallons within 30 minutes of you leaving. Me. That would be impressive. Anyways, what time do you think I left? Manager lady replied, 3. I responded. Nope, 12. She furiously exclaimed, you didn't even stay for your full shift. That is unacceptable. You need to be here when you're scheduled. When I get back from lunch at 11:15, meet me upstairs so we can further discuss your behavior. Okay, 11 a.m. rolls around and I leave. 30 minutes later, she calls me raising absolute hell. When she was done ranting, my reply was, you wrote out and posted the schedule. You also said that I need to be there only when I'm scheduled, so I apologize for staying an hour over yesterday. She hung up on me instantly. Pretty sure I smiled the entire drive home after that. I must say, it felt quite nice. Our next post is by Trash Avocado. Don't make your tenants do your job for you. It can and will backfire on you. Some important backstory. I, 27F, live in an apartment complex that has recently, as of June of 2023, been bought by a new management company. My best friends, Cole 30M and Phoebe 29F, also live in the complex on the other side. Over the course of the new management's reign, they disabled the resident and rent payment portals we all were using and swapped us over to new portals. I don't know what exactly happened, but it took over a month to get the new portals working, which was a nightmare, but I digress. On August 2nd, I went to pay my rent through the new payment portal. As I always do, I checked the breakdown of what my utilities were. Usually this is water, trash, sewer, cam fees, and the tech package the complex includes. Since we're charged based on usage, I've been in the apartment I'm in now since September of 2022, and prior to this, I lived in the complex in 2 other units for a combined time of around 3 years. Needless to say, I'm very familiar with what my utilities should look like in this complex, specifically the water bill. Much to my surprise and confusion, my water bill was $91. Usually it's around $30 to $40. I understand increases happen, but usually I see them towards the beginning of the year, and it's never this much of an increase. Immediately, I emailed the front office to kindly ask what the F was going on. The front office's assistant manager told me that it was the water district that made the increase and that the complex had nothing to do with it and they weren't able to do anything about it. It was a very "don't shoot the messenger" type response. This didn't sit right with me, so I called my friends who live on the other side of the complex to see if they'd seen a similar increase. After they checked their bill breakdown, they let me know that their water bill was double what it usually was at $120. They also reached out to the office and were told the same thing. Cole pressed further, asking if the front office was going to further investigate this, since it seemed odd for a billing increase to be happening in the middle of the year, let alone this much of an increase, and the front office told him he could research it, but that it wasn't their job, even though it literally is. Cue malicious compliance. Cole is a very thorough person. He's a data analyst. Asking and answering all the questions is what he does, and let me tell you, he's very good at it. Cole reached out to the water district and the water authority in our region multiple times via phone, email, and live chat, and every single time he was given the same answer. We would never raise water rates in the middle of the year, and it would never be by that much. Your complex is lying to you. Something isn't right. They need to investigate this further. He took all this information and compiled an email to send to the front office management, going as far as to cite the meeting minutes from the water authority in regards to their plan when it comes to water price increases over the course of the next few years. Cole also included some other concerns we've all had in regards to the complex, such as gym and pool access, as well as the constantly broken access gates. He wrote, "During my correspondence with the water district, I was informed by an employee by the name of Lisa that our rates increased in January this year. We do not raise them in the middle of the year. Given all the information above, I hope it becomes clear my concern as to the recent increase in our water rates." Cole created graphs and data sheets to completely back up his findings. This data was prepared using the ledger provided to me by the front office and can be replicated by your team for validation. Ultimately, my concern at this point is I am hearing conflicting information from the complex as opposed to the water district and its certified documents, which I've attached for the office's convenience. On 2 occasions, I have almost been struck by vehicles entering the exit gate. I believe the reason behind this is that no deterrents are set up to stop people entering through the exit gate. Inspection of the area shows that spikes were originally installed, but those spikes do not appear to be in place at this moment. This contradicts signage within the property that says that there is. My spouse attached had come to the front office about access to the gym amenity. I am unaware of whom Phoebe had spoken to, but they had stated that they would need to set up the appropriate account to get us to access via a form of wireless locking mechanism. They had also mentioned that we should see this email in 1 to 2 days. It has been roughly 3 weeks. Eventually, Cole went back into the front office for some kind of update, and one of the front office workers informed him that he might be able to call our utilities company, UB West, for further clarification of what was going on. So he did that, and UB West confirmed that as of mid-July, they no longer have a contract with our complex. The plot thickens. Cole reached back out to the front office and was told that our new utilities contract is with a company called Conservice, so we called them. Conservice told us that they only started their contract with our complex on August 1st, and they had no backdated information about any of our billing. So, we called UB West back to see if we could get our hands on backdated information. This is where things start to feel really fishy. UB West escalated our contact up to the financial manager of the contract our complex had with them, and she had some very interesting information. She told Cole and I that she noticed the increase in the water bill and that she told the leasing office manager, she name-dropped the office manager, that something was wrong and that legally she needed to start an investigation, and she never heard back. Not long after this, their contract was termed. At this point, we were both feeling like real-life detectives. We looked into how the water bill is calculated and issued out to residents for the entire complex, and the more we looked into things, the less things made sense with what the front office was telling us. The conflicting information was jarring. At this point, the front office seemed to be getting very annoyed with our persistence, and they told us that if we should take our concerns up with corporate. So we did. Cole reached out to corporate and forwarded all of the information he had to them, along with the answers he'd gotten from the last time he'd gone into the front office to try to get some answers. Corporate reached back out to him within 24 hours and said that they would be investigating this, and the district manager called Cole personally after she was able to look into everything, and I mean everything. Unfortunately, I wasn't on that phone call, so I don't know exactly how it went. Cole called me the moment the call ended to update me on the situation. The district manager started the conversation with a genuine apology, and she stated that the entirety of the leasing office staff had been terminated immediately. She apologized profusely about the manager having the audacity to suggest that Phoebe's car being stolen was a test from God, and that was simply unacceptable. She also assured Cole that an appointment was made to fix the gates and have the exit spikes reinstalled within the week, and that everything else would be personally investigated by her, including the water bills for all tenants in the complex. She also stated that she had no idea that someone had been shot or that Phoebe's car was stolen, both of which should have been reported to corporate immediately and were not by the leasing office manager. Starting in a few weeks, we should be getting a whole new front office staff sent in directly from corporate. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.